Before the Ultimate Showdown, there was Damn Skippy. Neil Cesarica created this album in between the hype of Animutation and the Ultimate Showdown. Damn Skippy, Lemon fourth album, was released on March 21st, 2005. And to no one's surprise, that's also before I was born, and probably before many of Lemon fans are born as well. Along with Hits of the Java Bean, Damn Skippy will be re-released and remastered in early 2023 to the happiness of all 12 fans of these albums. Despite that though, I always felt like Damn Skippy had sort of lived in the shadow of its siblings for most of its time. Even if I can't lie, this and Hits of the Java Bean tend to have a lot of silent fans. I think the majority of the time these albums do tend to get glossed over, especially when you have to compete with Spirit Phone or View Monster. Like the quote from the beginning implied, this album is something of a middle child in the Lemon Demon saga, so I'm going to change that and try and talk about this album for a little bit. To be fair, it's not like Damn Skippy was the only album that got this treatment, and in a lot of ways you could say Lemon Demon's first two albums have it a lot worse. All of the first four Lemon Demon albums were made free to download sometime in 2009, kind of to say that those albums weren't exactly anything special, so sure, you can just have them, have fun with those. It kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth is really all I'm trying to say. Sure, you can make a case that Clown Circus and Live from the Haunted Candle Shop being so unpopular is understandable, considering the overall quality of them, and that in turn, it's no shocker they're the Lemon Demon kids left behind. But I think it's unfair that the latter two albums were lumped together with them in the first place. It's a miracle we got a remaster for these at all, honestly, even if it's disappointing that Hits of the Java Bean's bonus tracks didn't come with it, but, maybe it's a bit better for the world that we don't have a higher quality version of Run, Harry, Run, but I digress. You see, so, even if I don't like Damn Skippy being treated as an unpolished, baby album, I can't say that I blame Neil for thinking the way he does about his early work and lumping them all together. You grow up, you improve your skills, and suddenly looking back, you see the writing on the wall. Once you start to notice the imperfections in your work, it's hard to ignore them. The viewer may not care as much and even find those imperfections charming, but for the creator, they can be, to put it in simple terms, cringe. For example, I have a hard time looking at some of my older art sometimes because of, how much I'm consciously aware of that I've improved my skills over time. It's like I want to throw those pieces away because if people came across those, they might think that that's the quality I'm still putting out now. And I reckon that could have been a similar mindset when, Neil looked back at these four albums. But for once, in this case, I am the viewer that finds charm in these imperfections. If there was anything I would have to criticize this album for, it would be Neil singing, but everybody knows Neil didn't sing the best in the first couple of albums, so that's not really saying much. Even then, it's not like I'd even call his singing bad, because it's not. There are times where it's a little iffy, but I'd just be being nitpicky if I said that, and I've listened to this album enough times where even if it was, that aspect of it just kind of grew on me. You could say I have bad taste in music, and I probably do have bad taste in music, but, that's besides the point. I think it's more impressive that Neil made such things at such a young age with all these, creative melodies and instrumentation along with it that, it's not to say you can't criticize it, you most certainly can, but I think at least with, that kind of in mind, you could at least look at things a little differently and, appreciate it in a certain kind of way, if that makes sense. To put it simply, I like it. But, I digress. Well, okay, you may be wondering, but if you like the album so much, why not actually talk about the songs inside of the album? I don't think I'll do a very good job, but I'll try my best to talk about some of these songs. So to start things off, we have Dead Sea Monkeys. What better way to start an album than one themed around death? I don't know a lot about Sea Monkeys, but for some reason they seem to kind of unsettle me. And again, I'm not really sure why. Apparently they're pretty simple pets to take care of, but I'll be honest, I've never heard of someone ever having sea monkeys as a pet, which makes them feel like they are not real. and that they shouldn't be real, but they are real, and I don't know why they exist. They probably shouldn't, but they do. But moving on, anyways, I think I saw a comment before saying that the opening track should have been New Way Out instead, but I completely disagree. This track does a good job at setting the tone for the rest of the album, which will be kind of just an assortment of random, yet equally entertaining tracks. I love the way this album and this song use its selections of instruments that, again, will be a recurring thing across the rest of the album. You'll notice, you tend to notice a ton of similarities. That's kind of how it is with early Lemon Demon stuff. And I don't think I'm the only one who feels there's a certain charm to early Lemon Demon and its use of, these, again, like guitars and these synths and other doodads and knickknacks. I think it really shines its best in this album in particular, though. And this song is a great way to open you to that kind of feeling. It pulls you in immediately, and then once you hit the chorus, you just, I don't know, you bust in a little bit. Sky is Not Blue is the next song that comes up, and it takes things a little slower. And I think this song works perfectly as a transition from Dead Sea Monkeys. This song, it's always kind of, made me scratch my head a little bit. It's kind of strange, but I think it is in the best way possible. I can't really describe it. I can't describe this song, but that's not a negative, I think. I just always feel like there's a deeper meaning here, but I can't exactly pick out what it is. And then Pumpkin Pie. Pumpkin Pie, oh my gosh. Ugh. Pumpkin Pie. Why did I do that? Okay. Pumpkin Pie has always been a favorite of mine. It's, it has this heavy use of accordion, which definitely makes it a standout amongst the tracks, and that's probably why it's one of my favorite songs. But I don't actually like Pumpkin Pie. That's probably a controversial opinion, but I don't really like it. I know I think there's an early version of this song that doesn't really have the accordion in it, but I could be wrong. But I think once you listen to it, it kind of feels a little awkward because it's like, oh, the best thing about the song isn't here. But that's kind of what I love about the process of making music and demos. I love listening to the early tracks, especially when it comes to the Lemon Demon stuff. It's interesting. I want to get my claws all in it. Early music production stuff. It's so fun. I'm sorry. I'm going on a tangent. I'm off script. Anyways, When Robots Attack is a song I don't really have much to say for. It's not a bad song, but it's just not one of my personal favorites. It's kind of just a whatever song. I like it. I like that it exists. It really exudes this young, childlike energy from it, this curiosity in it. Because it's just a song about, giant robots taking over the town. And I really like that charm of innocence that comes from this song. And you'll see that theme across the rest of the album, especially following the song that follows this with Geeks in Love, which is just Neil singing a song, about him and his girlfriend at the time. And it's just a cute little song about that. And you just can't hate a little cute song like that, Well, I mean, maybe you could, but if you do, we'll put you on a stake and we'll burn it. So New Way Out is funny because I have this Mandela effect with it where I always think it's titled A New Way Out, but it's just not titled that way, and it was never titled that way. I don't know why. I think it was, but it's not. This song, it's special to me, but not for the reason you might think. You see, I listened to this song way before I became an avid Lemon Demon fan, and that's because I first heard this in an Ed's World episode. I think it was I don't remember what it was called, but I think it was a zombie-related one. Strangely, after that, I completely forgot about the song. Like, I had listened to it, but then I just never did again. And it was only until I listened to this album, like however long later it was, that I just knew I had heard it somewhere. Like, oh, yeah, it reminds me of my childlike days, or whatever. I don't know. I'm weird. And according to Genius, the Japanese in this translates to fall down 7 times, get up 8, and Rome wasn't built in the day. Despite whatever you could take away from that, this is one of those songs on the album where Neil says, oh, there's no meaning. What will happen is a funny one, again, because of why Neil wrote it. I don't know why it's funny, but I just never expected that the reason Neil would have written this song was because of his friends feeling upset due to the presidential election in 2004. However, knowing who won that election, I guess I can understand why. But anyway, to talk about the song itself for a little bit, I've always appreciated this song. It's gotten me through some rough patches, but it's the line, what will happen, whether I'm happy or sad. It's stuck with me ever since my first listen. I feel like they're like words to live by. Some things are just out of your control, and it's no use sulking over what you can't change. So, better to remind yourself of what matters and that there's always going to be another day. Unless there's not, and the sun explodes. But, we're probably not going to live to see that, so... Okay, you know what? No, I'm done. Cut the review. I wrote something for every song, but I sound like a complete idiot, so no, I'm not doing it anymore. Look, all you need to know is that there's a lot to love about each and every one of these songs, so you're really just better off listening to the whole album and engaging with it, and I don't really mean just having it run in the background and ignore it. I mean, generally sit down and just, experience it, turn your brain off and experience it, because that's probably the best way to listen to the album, honestly. Like Flamingo Legs, Dizzyful Bliss, Smell Like a Cookie All Day, Word Disassociation. They're just some examples that are some personal favorites of mine. But okay, I'll give it to you. I'll at least talk about, these songs, some of my favorite ones, like I just mentioned. I'll start with Flamingo Legs, and I feel like I'm probably one of Flamingo Legs' biggest fans. I have no idea why Neil wrote so many songs on this album that aren't about anything, but I think this is personally my favorite where that's applicable. Word Disassociation doesn't count for me, even though technically I guess it would, but no. There's always been something so hypnotizing about Flamingo Legs and how it sounds. Its lyrics, though random, so easily feel like it's grasping at an idea that I'm surprised there's no meaning to this one, but that's probably what makes it so good for me, that there's almost a meaning to it, I feel, but there just isn't. And I guess I could come up with my own, but I didn't, so, whatever. And the next one, I wonder if anyone has actually done what this song advises you to do and put a drop of vanilla behind each of your ears to see if you really will smell like a cookie all day. Maybe I'll try it one day and report back to you on the results, and I'll die. But anyways, I think the ending part of this song has always been my favorite part, and I think it really has to do with the way the song builds up to that, which just makes the payoff so much more worth it. It's definitely one of my favorites musically off of the album, alone. There's just a lot to love here with the way it's all put together and the general theme of the song. It's super sweet too. Strangely though, it is quite deep or serious with what it's about. I mean, it kind of goes back to what will happen. I think both of these two songs are kind of the most deep or serious off the album, which it's fine. I like that. And that kind of goes with Dizzyful Bliss. No, it doesn't go with Dizzyful Bliss at all. This is a totally different point. I don't know why I said that. But for a long time, I don't think I appreciated Dizzyful Bliss. Because Word Disassociation, it comes right after this song. But the songs transition into each other really well, that it's okay, I guess I kind of have to listen to the song now. And that goes also with Smell Like a Cookie All Day. It transitions into Dizzyful Bliss, and I really like the way I just really like the way this song's transition. It's just so powerful, and it makes me explode. It makes me splooge everywhere. I think this song might take a bit of time to grow on people like it did for me, but once it does, I think it'll only continue to grow on you a little bit more and more as you listen to it. It's a slow song, but I think that really fits. It's perfect. It suits the tone of the track. It's probably one of my favorites now, just due to how much I like its instrumental. Kind of with Smell Like a Cookie All Day. Their instrumentals are just really good. That I just like the songs. I just like the songs. It's wobbly and bouncy. This song. I don't know really how to articulate it. That's all I wrote, was that this song is wobbly and bouncy. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think a friend of mine doesn't like this song. And like, again, I get it. You want to just get the Word Disassociation, but like, come on, give this song a chance. You'll like it. I promise you'll like Disciple Bliss. We all want to spit in our chairs all day and fall down the stairs. Maybe we shouldn't fall down the stairs in our chairs. That sounds a little bit dangerous. But speaking of which, I don't exactly have anything noteworthy to say about Word Disassociation, even though it is like one of my favorite songs. Like, we can all agree it's a 10 out of 10 song. There's really not much to say. The percussion goes crazy on this song. You know, really, it makes you bust a little bit each time you listen. With that, though, we come to the final song of the main album, which is a total outlier for me, and it's called Eventuality. I love this track, because most Lemon Demon albums end you off with a solemn or impactful yet slower sounding song. I don't know if that was the right way to describe it, but it is. Take the Too Much song or Spiral Ants, for example. I like that Eventuality is different and is still keeping the chaotic vibe the rest of the album had. Not to mention the majority of the song is a cappella, with only one verse of actual lyrics, making it even more of a standout amongst this album, and I think the Lemon Demon catalog as a whole, honestly. And the ending of this song does a good job, I think, of wrapping up the whole main album. It doesn't really fade out. It ends by cutting. The song cuts, and then you get this what the game called Commander Keen gameplay that comes afterwards. And I for some reason I just really like it. I used to not like it. I used to skip it, but now I'm like, oh yeah, I like that. It's cute. It's charming. And I don't think it gets enough praise as it does. This entire song as a whole. But yeah, moving on. There are bonus tracks in this album. It's the second album with bonus tracks. If the Java Bean was the first, you probably know that, but I'm saying that. And I actually didn't really like this assortment of bonus tracks before. There was only 8 bonus tracks, but now the Needle Juice Remaster gives us, I don't know the exact number, but it gives us a ton of more bonus tracks to work with. And oh my gosh, do I love these tracks. And I will go through a couple of my favorites, like I just did. Starting off with the first bonus track now, it's Scatterbrain. And oh my gosh, this is probably one of my favorite Lemon Demon songs, like, ever. It fits. It weirdly fits so much on this album. It's such a strange track. I don't know how to put it into words to describe Scatterbrain as a track. You just have to listen to it. The best way I can describe it is this comment. I can never forget this comment, but it described this song as calling it Lemon Demon's Megalovania. That is probably the best comment I have seen on a Lemon Demon song, probably ever, and I probably ever will. Elvis porn being on here is funny, but I'm so happy it's on this now, just like this and Scatterbrain are. It's the original version from this era, not the one that came out in like 2010, I think it was. And I remember how this song came to be. If I remember correctly, there was some vote on this, and Kitten is Angry. I don't really remember where I heard that, but I don't remember if that was in the commentary. I don't think it was, but if it was, that's probably where I heard it from. But both of those songs won. But on the original release, you'll find that only Kitten is Angry is there, and Elvis Porn is nowhere on the album. And I've always wondered why that was. I don't know if we'll ever get an answer as to why Elvis Porn wasn't there. Honestly, the answer is probably that Neil probably forgot. I feel like that has happened before. Well, Neil has just forgotten about putting songs on his album. I can't back that up with anything right now, but I feel like that's true. So don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'm just glad someone remembered that the original version of Elvis Porn existed, and it was supposed to be on Damn Skippy. Moving on, there's a Bicycle Race, and the only thing I have to say about Bicycle Race is that I really feel like people either like this song or they just really don't like this song, and I feel like there's no in between. That's like all I have to say about this song. I'm personally in the camp that I like the song, but yeah, I really think people just don't like this, or they do. And then there's all the instrumental tracks. All the instrumental tracks are great, but Bottom Line is probably my favorite, with I Want to Wake Up in a close second and maybe Stampy in third place. Which the fun thing about Stampy is that it's actually an early version of Eventuality, and it's kind of difficult to tell, but there are some parts of the song where you can go like, oh yeah, that sounds, you know, they sound like songs that are songs. But whenever I listen to Bottom Line, for example, I always imagine those little dudes that are on the cover of the album just jumping along to the song on the side of the screen. Please tell me you can envision the same thing and I don't sound like a complete weirdo. But anyways, I remember when I first saw the new track list for the bonus tracks, and I had to sit down and stare for a while when I saw these two tracks in particular, How to Poop and The Song You Hear When You Die. These are just some of the most random tracks that really didn't need to be here, but they are, and I think that's awesome, and that every Lemon Demon fan should listen to these. The rest of the bonus tracks are great too, but I just don't have anything interesting to say about them. You know, Pirate in a Box, though, is definitely an experience on your first listen, which is what I've seen other people say as well. And whether that's a good experience, you know, I'll let you be the judge of that. You should just listen to it. So basically, that wraps up the review. And what did we learn today? I don't know. Knowing how young Neil was when he made this album and his previous work has always inspired me in a way where I go, I can do that too. There's a negative mindset that floats about these days where if someone younger than you makes a masterpiece, then you've been wasting your life away and should probably just end it all right then and there. Yeah, it's probably an exaggeration, but I think some people genuinely do get worked up about this kind of thing, and to that I say, instead of letting it bring you down, you should let it inspire you. Even if what you make isn't perfect, even if you think your singing is a little scratchy or a little choppy, or that your art isn't as good as someone else's is, still, make that thing, because someone might come along and appreciate it for what it is. Heck, there might already be people that like what you do now, but you just don't realize it. Again, like I said, hip to the Java Bean, Damn Skippy, I think they really do have a ton of silent fans, so you probably have a lot of silent fans, or you will have a lot of silent fans, and you just won't know it. A special someone once told me that anyone can make a game, and in a way, that's true. It sounds intimidating at first, and believe me, it is. There's coding, there's art, music, all of this, but if you want to make something, you've got to get over that initial hurdle of intimidation and put your pen to the paper. Neil did that, even when he was writing songs about dying sea monkeys, or a geeky song about him and his girlfriend at the time, or eating crayons, or even just a song about the rainwater and whether or not it's safe to drink. In fact, I don't think this video will be that good, but, look, I'm trying, and, that's the point I'm trying to make here. Just be yourself. Let your inner child take over sometimes and just make something dumb for the fun of it. You can all be a little more like Neil, I guess is what I'm trying to say. He knew that even at a young age, he was just going to make stuff, and he did, and it's very evident on Damn Skippy. You won't get Mr. Porta Potty Man on Spirit Phone, no. You only get it here. Adolescence, it's a fleeting thing, so enjoy it while it lasts. Get out there and take risks. You can only be young once. You can only tell yourself so many times that you'll do something but put it off because you're afraid people won't like it. Was Neil a pro when he was a teenager? No. He started with Trapezoid, then Clown Circus, then everything that came after it. And if he just kept telling himself, no, I'm not good enough. I don't know if he was telling himself that, but if he did, there would be no Spirit Phone. There would be no Spirit Phone if we didn't have Damn Skippy. Oh my gosh. No. He was just a teenager, but he did it. And young me saw that he did it, and now look, I make music. It was the same process probably that he took. I make crappy instrumentals at first, but now, well, I like to think I make less crappy sounding music. So ask yourself, why can't you do it too? What is it that you want to do, and what's really stopping you from doing it? It's probably obvious by now, but my point with using that quote to start things off was to say that this album and its predecessors are more than just, oh, this came before Dinosaur Crusoe, so it's not as good. No. I'm saying, and I probably said it multiple times, but no. Damn Skippy, it may not be perfect. Into the Java Bean and everything that came before it may not be perfect, but there's something about them not being perfect that makes them so much more. And I guess it's kind of cheesy to say all of this out loud, but I hope at least my point is coming across to all of you. I think this album will keep inspiring me for years to come as a reminder to just have fun sometimes, even if that thing is just completely silly, stupid, or really just random. At least I enjoy doing it. You can feel the creativity poured into this album, and for that, I think there's a lot to love about it. So maybe go back and listen to it. Or if you never listened to it and are thinking about giving it a chance, I think you really ought to do so. Or don't. I'm not your mom.